So last week I mentioned I'd be doing a bit of wheeling and dealing, and today I reveal what that was. Now in previous videos I did reviews on the Fender Telecaster American Pro, that was the Series 1, and the Fender Telecaster Custom Shop 61 Relic. And after reading through a book on Telecasters, it was only going to be a matter of time before I'd look into the Fender Custom Shop 1952 Nocaster. Hello viewer, my name's Stu. Please do check out the rest of my channel as it covers my return back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. Coming up, number 1, the guitar and its specifications, and it has some interesting accessories. Number 2, what does it sound like? Number 3, points of interest, and it's got a Telecaster decal, but it's called a Nocaster. So more on that later. Now my likes and dislikes, number 4, and number 5, conclusion, final remarks. So without further ado, number 1. No doorbell ringing this time because I got the guitar delivered to a local shop where I could then, first of all, go and try out the guitar before committing to purchase. Back at the studio, the cardboard double-boxed boxes were opened and the guitar case was removed. And here we have a classic Fender Custom Shop guitar case in that iconic tweed finish. And I have to say, it's a very nice looking case. I'll be keeping this hidden from my wife because she'll definitely want this for a handbag. And I know there are those who are watching who understand what I'm saying. So on opening the case, inside reveals a Custom Shop Fender Telecaster 1952 in a Relic finish and in an aged lacquer finish called Nocaster Blonde. So that's where the Nocaster name fits in. The body is based on a 1952 style Telecaster made of ash, and as mentioned is finished in an aged nitrocellulose lacquer typical of the Nocaster period. This thin finish will help the already Relic look to continue to age naturally. As you can see, the relicing is fairly limited and the general aging process to the metalwork is not in any way overtly noticeable at a distance, but it is nicely done. It sports a 51 style Nocaster Relic pickguard with the early 5-screw arrangement. And here you can see the traditional vintage Telecaster bridge setup with its 3 barrel brass saddles, and you do of course get the bridge cover, which was affectionately named the ashtray cover back when we all smoked like chimneys. Now at the back of the guitar here you see the classic string shrew body arrangement. In this model the grommets protrude just very slightly from the back of the body surface, but very much less than they do with the more modern American Pro Tele. Now the pickups are both hand wound. These are original Blackguard 5152 single coils for that classic Tele twang, and in combination with the 51 modified Nocaster wiring, this lets the player blend both pickups together in switch position 1, which takes some time to get used to as the tonal differences can be quite subtle. Now if that's not for you, Fender does supply within the case an alternative wired assembly. Nice one, Fender. Of course, you'll need a soldering iron to make the changeover. Now for those wanting to understand these wiring options, the Fender Custom Shop has done a few videos that explain that, so do a search on that if that interests you. The classic 3-way selector toggle is of a different design to the later top hat style of the 60s models, as are the knurled control knobs with their rounded tops compared to the flat surfaces on the later guitars. Moving to the riffs on maple neck, it's the usual 4-bolt arrangement and it has a 57 soft V shape. And it is noticeably chunky, yet very comfortable to the feel. Of course, much depends on the size of your hands as to what suits you best. Now the neck finish has been worn down and typical of Fender Custom Shop Relic guitar necks. Very nice to the feel, really comfortable. The fingerboard has a compound radius starting at 7.25 at the headstock, and it tapers to 9.5 towards the body. There are 21 narrow tall 6105 frets, which are very nicely finished. They are my favourite frets personally, and here you see also the micarta black dot inlays. Now the bone nut has a width of 1.625, and looking at the tuners, these are of the vintage type, and you can see that the metalwork has been aged or dulled. A point of note for those unfamiliar with these types of old school designs: truss rod adjustment is more tricky due to the adjustment being at the body end of the neck, unlike the more modern styles at the nut end. The case it comes in is manufactured by the American case company G&G, and the outer covering in this example is a lovely tweed finish with leather stitched binding at the ends. Inside it has an attractive red crushed velvet interior with a good sized pocket for all those knickknacks. As with all custom shop guitars, you get your certificate of authenticity, a build sheet report, nice guitar strap, and some other bits and bobs. So, number 2. How does it sound? Well, I'm going to be playing this through the Bad Cat Black Cat amplifier. I'll play some chords and single style notes clean with some reverb across the 3 selector positions. So neck, pickup, position 1. Middle, position 2. Bridge, position 3. And now adjusting the amplifier controls for a moderate overdrive tone, again with reverb. I'll demonstrate the pickup reaction where I strum pick the strings with restraint, and then when I play them a wee bit more forcibly. So neck, pickup, position 1. Middle, position 2. Bridge, position 3. Now, keeping the controls the same, I'll demonstrate with the addition of a TC Spark boost pedal. So neck pickup, position 1. Middle, position 2. Bridge, position 3. As mentioned earlier, you can dial in changes of tone where the wiring setup blends the pickups, and so I'm only giving a general illustration here. There's a lot you can do with this guitar. So number 3, things I'd personally mention that might be of interest. So as with any custom shop reissue style guitar, in this case, the Telecaster, there's quite a difference in tone when you compare models from the 50s, 60s and modern. And I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to compare 3 of those types. So if that interests you, do subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. Now, very quick history lesson regarding the name Nocaster. This iconic guitar was first named the Broadcaster at its debut in 1950. And that was short-lived, as the name was used by Gretsch for one of their drum kits. So for a short period of time, the Fender guitar sported only a Fender decal as they removed the name Broadcaster to stop being sued. In 1951, a new name was agreed, and that was the Telecaster. Now, Fender already had guitars in stock that would get these new Telecaster decals. They were, in essence, Nocasters, so there's a simple and quick explanation. This is quite a good book on Telecasters if you like guitar books. Lots of interesting background details on the various models of this iconic guitar. So number 4, likes and dislikes. What do I like? When I went to the shop to try this guitar out, the first thing I wanted to hear was how it sounded without plugging it in, because I already had an idea how it was going to sound amplified, twangy. I also wanted to feel how comfortable this particular neck and the frets would be, because some of these older guitars can feel quite chunky and tonally limited. And so if you're looking for a guitar to be versatile in the type of music you're covering, a 50s style guitar might not always be a good choice. Although this is a versatile guitar. So picking it up, it's not heavy, it's not super light. For me, it's a good weight. The neck definitely feels chunky, but it's comfortable, it stays in tune well. Again, as in a previous review on the Telecaster 61 model, in regard to the brass saddles, I was a little unsure about the vintage type compared to the compensated saddles you get on the American Pro and other Telecaster models. But again, I'm pleased to report, as in my other review, the intonation is really spot on this guitar, so no issues there. Now, I do like the compound radius. I've never played a guitar with a compound radius before. Certainly the guitar is very comfortable playing chords, and there's no fretting or choking when playing notes higher up the neck. Now, to be frank, it's pretty subtle. I have to say, I really don't notice anything really unusual when playing. It's just got a very natural feel. How does it compare to my Telecaster 61? Well, they are very different guitars, so more on that to come in another video. What I will say is, it's a classic, and I'm an old Fender lover, so it sits well in my little collection, and I really enjoy playing this. So what do I dislike? Well, some of the screws and edges of the rear plate are actually a little sharp in places, and I found it a little uncomfortable resting my palm over the saddles. So I'll be taking a look at that, smoothing it down with a small file and some fine sandpaper. So number 5, conclusion, final thoughts. As always, no one paid me to mention any of the products shown, just my opinions. This 1950s style Telecaster sits alongside my 1950s Stratocaster, and while they're not at the top of the list to use in my studio for recording in regard to the music I write, for an old Fender lover, they are just so very enjoyable to play and great to jam with. It's that vibe that you feel with these historic type instruments, and I think you just can't help but play them with feeling. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and perhaps it's been helpful for some. And in future videos, I'll be continuing my recording series, but I'll also do a Telecaster comparison because they really are so very different. And I think that should make an interesting video. After all, I did that with the Stratocaster shootout. Do have a look at that if that interests you. So do think about subscribing, hit the bell to get notifications, like and share. And as always, it really helps the channel. Do check out my channel playlists, which cover my journey back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. And once again, whether you're a newcomer, an ongoing player, or like me, just an old hand returning to guitar playing, I always take time to engage with folks who take time to comment. So until next time, the journey continues. Do take care.